Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. So we went live today. We discussed some of what the guides had given us over here on this Patreon exclusive. And mentioning Patreon, we wanted to thank our newest patrons.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here we go. We have a huge group of people, and you guys are really helping keep us going. A huge thank you to James, Deborah, Ivan, Christiane, Robert, Eric, AM Hours, Rosalind, Valerie, Melinda, Thomas, hey Thomas, and Axia. I think I butchered that. I'm sorry.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on the Patreon family. And so this is curious. Look at all these little suns coming through. Eclipse suns, black hole suns. Everybody's buzzing about black hole sun and the eclipse. You know, Cindy and I went in the backyard when it was overhead, and we were doing mantras, and it was all cloudy, and then it opened up just for us to watch it go total and then go back. So it was a blessing, and she got to use her glasses. Yay! She didn't waste her $8. Five. Okay, so lots and lots going on, and as to be expected, there's going to be a lot of things happening after the end of Ramadan and after the eclipse, because again, this is just the way things are in this world, and the timing is always key and critical. So let's hope everybody put out their positive intentions that the world may be free, humans may be free, and that things may blossom and bloom, and we find ourselves free and clear, removing away the dirty, filthy residue of the system. It'd be certainly nice to take a shower or a bath away from this system and not have to deal with it anymore, and welcome in the new, because we are on the ascending path. That's the good news. We are on the ascending path. As you see here, Nicaragua, before the International Court of Justice today, reminds the world that Palestinians have the right to take up arms against Israeli foreign occupation. There's a lot going on here behind the scenes, as you see this, charging genocide and in solidarity with Palestine, Nicaragua, South Africa. So the International Court of Justice beginning their proceedings. This is all interesting to watch, as Nicaragua hired a German lawyer to argue Germany's complicity in the Gaza genocide at the ICJ. Western media is ignoring the fact that Nicaragua has dragged Germany into the ICJ. Yeah, and just, there's been so much talk about, new Nuremberg trials, things like that. There is going to be repercussions for what we've been watching. And the purpose really is, again, to create this third WW. This is the purpose. This is why the atrocities have been ongoing. As you see, this is all like taking center stage. And it's an escalation that seems like it is inevitable. However, we can definitely put out the intentions that humanity awakens as soon as possible, and that this escalation doesn't last long, as it would be a wonderful thing to see the power structure of the planet be changed instantaneously without the loss of any innocent lives, which are being lost every single day because of the system. Meanwhile, this is in Michigan. This is Dearborn, Michigan. And you can see what's being chanted there. It's not life, but the opposite of life to America. We've seen massive amounts of people in Muslim prayer in New York City, in the middle of New York City, in massive numbers. All this, the reason why the UN has brought all these people in is to take down the power structure, just so they could change it. And one of the things that the guide said was, you will see and know clearly the intent of the power structure and what's going to be happening there's going to be no looking at it and saying, well, maybe they screwed up. No. The intentions are going to be very, very clear, and the awakening is part of that clarity.
Oh, it's a mess, and sometimes upon cleanup, things have to get really dirty before they get better. So that's something that we're watching for, and that's why we're always telling people, just be prepared for some bumps and bruises, because I don't see a change without some type of a pushback. It's just natural, when the bottom feeders, they want to continue feeding. They don't want to give up their food. They don't want to give up their food any more than you do. The difference is the things that they will do for their food is like really, really, really horrible. But they're not going to have the strength to hold on much longer. So I think we have to give one or two more really good shoves with our energy and ourselves, and the way we conduct ourselves and how we deal with things inside the system. Like, what do we spend our money on needs to change into alternative everything. That's just my opinion. I think it's a good start.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so glad to see people talking about that. It's coming out into the forefront. How many people have had miraculous healings? Why? Is it some new technology? No. They've just simply ignored the system. They've gone the natural route. They've taken the natural path, and they've gotten better. Yeah. It's that realization of what the system really is here for that is starting to finally dawn on a lot of the masses. So in Tehran, it's 2:45 a.m. at the time of this post. And the last day of Ramadan, whatever the retaliatory actions Iran intends to take against Israel and U.S. forces are, they were likely to come in within the next 24 to 48 hours. And then he edited it. I was reading, I do a lot of reading in the bathtub, by the way. That's where I do some of my best research. And Ramadan ends at sunset with the sighting of the crescent moon. And then you have a 3-day festival that begins next. This festival is mandatory, and it's mandatory that you eat. So it's mandatory that you fast during Ramadan, and then it's mandatory that you eat. And so does this mean that it won't be an immediate boom strike by Iran and all that? It might wait like another handful of days, perhaps. Again, the timing is such that they're going to observe more than likely. They don't have to, but it seems like they would follow Islamic law and wait for the festival. So that means, after Wednesday, towards the end of the week, you might see a strike. And it's interesting because, again, it has to do with the sighting of the crescent moon. If they don't see the moon, just like the groundhog not seeing, again, his shadow, isn't that interesting how we get all these things? It's just fascinating. So how are they going to respond? And, that's going to become clear in the battlefield is the statement that came from Iran's foreign minister. Interesting. Now, Assad left Damascus and is headed to a bunker. Some reports are saying Syria's President Assad. Interesting to watch. Just be prepared, guys, as we have anti-Israeli protests going on everywhere. As a lot of people just can't stomach what's happening. It's just simple. David Menzies, who is a Rebel News reporter, and Iranian regime critic Salman Sima were both arrested up in Canada because of statements that they're making and the coverage that they're doing. Yeah, Canada is. There's also, I saw posters posted in Canada about seminars so people could learn about the works of Mao. Hello. Yeah, it's getting late up in Canada, and that takeover is coming. And that's part of, I think, what the guides were saying, as the regimes are going to change. And it's not going to be even attempted to be an illusion anymore. freedom and liberty, etc. By the way, the mantra that we were doing during the eclipse is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, which is, may all beings everywhere be free and happy, free and happy. And may my words, acts, and deeds contribute to that freedom and that happiness. So if we could all be looking at it from that point of view, boy, we could change things quick.
We could. I mean, it takes our efforts coming together. And I saw a lot of fear mongering over the eclipse, as far as spaceships are coming, aliens are taking over, the world is going to crack in half. Oh my gosh. And that made me sad, because really it's a sacred time. It's a very, very special time. It's a time that we can manifest. And I saw that the control system really allowed the media out there everything that is scary, and that's just not right. And we did spend our time saying that mantra while the eclipse was going on, and giving that sacred time when sun and moon are having their talk, they're having their discussion on how things are going to go over the next 200,000 years, or however long it's going to be before they have that conversation again. But I was disappointed in a lot of the spiritual community and the fear that they put out there about the eclipse.
And meanwhile, we have Russia calling for emergency UN meeting over an attack. This says on nuclear power plant. There's been a lot of different attacks going on right now from, they say Ukrainian sources, but are they really? I mean, there was also one report where they were showing some soldiers, Russian soldiers, going by dead bodies in Russia and saying that this was an American. And, one of the bodies was an American that was taking part in attacks inside of Russia. Again, this has been pushed to the very, very edge because they really, really want to create WW3. So this is what we've been trying to get across. It's a fine line between creating fear and warning, hey, you might want to duck, basically, because they're intent on doing this. And actually, the guides have kind of said that this is what they do in each one of these cycles. There's always a global conflict. When one of these dark ages ends, it's just what the dark side does. They create a global conflict. The evidence of these global conflicts are hidden only to those that don't look, because you can't find it. There are places all around the world that have residue of advanced civilizations that were more advanced than this one ever got to. And that's the reality. As you see here, an Iskander destroyed an industrial facility in Zaporizhia. This is where, again, that nuclear power plant, and the guides have said for a long time, this is one of those areas that they're intent on trying to create a radioactive situation. But I do think that those with much farther, more advanced technology are stopping them from creating that type of situation. So it's a little bit of a chess game going on. And this is why, as I pointed out a long time ago, when 45 came into office, what did he do? He backed out of treaties, missile treaties, that limited how small you can make N missiles. How small? That's to blur the line, because they want to create a radioactive situation. They really do. That's part of what they want to do. That affects other densities. So that's something that really won't be allowed. And some will say, well, how about, nuclear tests? And how about what's happened in the past? Again, the interesting thing about these beings is they're very human, as far as, the higher frequency beings that are out there are very human in many ways, and they're fallible. And even with advanced technologies, and even with the ability to have an AI system that's going to war game something, millions of times in simulations, you can have fallible situations. And you could also have situations in which the lines are so blurred that for the fear of interfering in the human experience, which is something that the higher densities value extremely highly, they will err on the side of caution to not interfere in our human experience, because that causes tremendous karmic repercussions throughout all densities.
And it's almost never ending too, because this universe, this world has been around long enough to see plenty of cycles of karmic repercussion and growth and things that we normally don't get to see with such a short lifespan. But these other beings that are watching from afar, they do understand non-interference. They do understand what would happen if they step in the way. There's other beings out there that are warrior beings, and they have a harder time not stepping in the way. And sometimes they're willing to risk those karmic repercussions. But they're all different. But it is our human experience. We get to create it. That's the beauty of it. It's just the illusion is that we have no power. That's the illusion.
So as you see, this Ukrainian war is not over, and in fact, this has been stalled on purpose. This is a stalling motion and movement. This is all just waiting for the real go, and this is again what we've been saying the whole time. And one of the things they were waiting for was this second eclipse, which just happened. Now we're just waiting for the end of Ramadan and the end of the 3-day festival. You might have noticed in the background a bridge went boom. This is also in Russia. This is in the Smolensk region. It also damaged a gas pipeline below, leaving the entire city without gas. You think that's just a real true accident? Bad Russian infrastructure? I doubt it. Again, there's sabotage going on all over the place on both sides, as you could see from different angles. This is all part of the plan. When it's like the little devil that's whispering in people's shoulders. The little devil is whispering on all sides. All the leaders of this planet are listening to those little devils. As you see Ukrainian infiltrators entering the Kaliningrad region of Russia and burning down a missile carrier. So a lot of ships have actually gone down in the Black Sea. But China has the largest navy in the world, and the Chinese Navy hasn't gotten started yet. And also, there's many other nations that will be joining China and Russia, including North Korea and Iran and Nicaragua and many others in this, because so much of the world is absolutely incensed with what is going on in Gaza. You had buildings evacuated and a 2-alarm gas leak after a car crash in the Bronx. Curious, is there not? Now, there was also a couple different mass shooting events, one in Florida and the other one, I'm trying to remember where the other one was. Oh, Vegas. It was in Vegas. And so both are under control. One down in Florida was arrested. The one in Vegas, the shooter is no longer amongst the living. There's going to be a lot of craziness going on. And the one in Florida said God told them to do it during the eclipse. Now, was it just, off the meds, on the meds, too many meds? Was it whatever they were doing to alter the mind? Or was it the voice of God? MK Ultra. So the other thing now is like grandmas around the world are uniting and pointing out the chemtrails. Go grandmas. You shout it out from the rooftops. Yeah, absolutely. They're escalating their chemtrails on us. We don't need no Wookiees. You could take that Wookiee and stick it,
Yes, you know where to put it where the sun don't shine, and that just doesn't mean the eclipse. So this should screw with them. Oh, that's a good one. I also saw a joke. Somebody said that they were going to blow up a bunch of blow-up dolls with helium and release them during the eclipse and call it the Rapture.
This reminds me of the movie Night of the Comet. Do any of you remember that cheesy 80s movie, Night of the Comet? Whole zombie apocalypse thing. The Hopi Indians, obviously we've talked about them. One of the most intriguing Hopi legends is about the ancient civilization named the Ant People, who saved the Native Americans twice during a fire, volcanic eruption, asteroid strike, ice age, strong coronal ejection from the sun. Yeah, and when we were in New Mexico, they came across. And there are entrances into the inner earth over in New Mexico for those that are curious. This is, again, how different beings have saved us. Now, the closest planet to Earth is not really Mars or Venus. In fact, the Ant People's home planet is closer to us. You just can't see it because it's basically fourth density, and it's being blocked out again by Project Bluebeam, which has been the situation for all of our lives. Yeah, the sky that we see is an overlay, and it's an intentional overlay so that we don't see everything that's up there.
No, we don't see everything that is up there. We're not supposed to see everything that is up there. But those who are awake, they know that there's more forces at play on this planet than what meets the eye. And that's where it starts. It starts with that waking up of the pineal gland, where people know that, okay, there's something there. You know, it's not standing right in front of me, but I know there's something there. Something's just not right. So that's where we're at.
And here you go. This is what we were talking about. Follow the yellow brick road. Well, there's a yellow brick road down the bottom of the Pacific, Hawaiian Islands Marine National Park area. So, I mean, it looks like it's probably a road, but after a detailed analysis, the global scientific community determined it's just a layer of rock of volcanic origin. Yeah, sure. Is that bridge for sale in Brooklyn still?
Just a layer of rock, guys.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the last civilization you buttheads wiped out, does it?
No, not at all.
Couldn't be that. And, you know, again, they give us all these misconceptions. They misconceive the spiritual nature of animals, for instance. You know, animals are not of a different spirit than we are. And in fact, often you will find that very high frequency beings can take an animal form and have an experience here in the 3D world with just a portion of their consciousness, as we can kind of fractalize our consciousness. That's another thing that they don't teach you in the scientific community for a reason. Here's a little guy that sees a really nice piece of cheese here. He's like, oh man, that's good. I wish I could get that. Let me think. What can I do? Yeah, I think this will work. This is going to work just fine.
Oh my God.
All right, thanks for the cheese.
That's like our Houdini mouse. I probably put out 10 different traps, including glue traps, including bucket traps. That stinker, I could not catch him. But he did snap the things too. He really did. But these country mice, they are smart. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. But this guy is smart too. So, you know, we might find ourselves with creatures thinking that they're really dumb. They'll go for this, and they learn from each other, and it's not always having to watch something. Sometimes that's telepathy. Sometimes that's instinct from another mouse who did it at another time, and they're actually able to hone in on that energy. This stuff is real. It's real, and it's coming to life. And in consciousness, it's fun when you start to explore and you take off the blinders and you open yourself up. I mean, it can be fun.
Absolutely. So again, we invite you all, if you're so inclined, join us on Patreon. But may all of you be blessed. Much love. Source bless. Namaste.
Namaste.